As the saying goes, haters are gonna hate. But sometimes the hate is so damn illogical that you often wonder how the hell some people got their jobs. We're gonna talk about it in this episode in regards to one of the Lions' star players. Stay tuned, everybody.
What are we? What makes us what we are and what we're gonna be? It's grit. It's what we started with last year, guys. Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and 3 toes. I will beat your ass.
Can definitely compete with the big dogs.
10-5 end zone touchdown Detroit Lions.
You guys are unbelievable, man. I'm telling you.
We are driven by Detroit.
Hello, all Lions fans, and welcome on back to yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. I'm your host, David T. Pike, and as always, we're diving on in. So here's the thing, folks. This is kind of going to be an episode that is very, very reminiscent. It's going to be very, very similar to what I used to do way back in the day when I first started up DLF. Again, for those that have been with me since those days, when I first started DLF, before unfortunately YouTube took it down, was I pretty much came out as a huge proponent against negativity, against people who were just negative to be negative, the extreme critics, whether it was Lions fans or not, whether it was Analyst, I didn't care. I took aim at all of them because I was tired of people just constantly being negative against the Lions when most of it was just based off of what had happened in the past rather than taking a look at the whole picture for what it actually was in the present. Now, obviously, here we are in 2024, getting ready for the 2024 NFL season. And if you think about it, most damn near every NFL analyst, they look at the Lions as a Super Bowl contending team. They look at the Lions as one of the best teams in the NFL. There's no debate on this for most of them. But here's how I know that there are still people out there that, for whatever reason, they feel like they got to step in front of a camera, they feel they got to put out something on the internet, and I sincerely, sometimes wonder how certain people get their jobs as a professional in the business of NFL. Whether it's as an analyst, whether it's as an expert, supposedly, I don't understand how some people get their jobs. Well, here's why I'm saying this. As we all know, Jared Goff just got a recent contract from the Detroit Lions to be their quarterback for the next 4 years. It's a $212 million contract with $170 million in guarantee money. Well, here's the thing. Recently, Jared Goff just had a press conference talking about the contract. And inside of that, press conference, Jared Goff said that he believes that he plays best when he's doubted. Well, that was a perfect statement from him because, as we know, ever since Jared Goff has really been to Detroit, he's been doubted almost continuously. Whether, again, has been by some Lions fans, whether it's been by NFL analysts, whatever have you. But here's the thing that I find rather peculiar. Think about this, folks, with me a minute. After the last 3 years in which Jared Goff has produced 2 top 10 statistical seasons, he won the Lions a division crown, he won them 2 playoff games, and got the Lions to the conference championship game, you would think that the Jared Goff doubters, the Jared Goff haters, would learn that they are wrong. That they were wrong about the assumption, about the thought, about the narrative that had been pushed out for so long that Jared Goff was simply a byproduct of Sean McVay and that Jared Goff simply was just an average quarterback at best. Or if nothing else, at the very least, they would learn to just shut up, sit the hell down, and be quiet. However, though, without even so much as allowing the ink to dry on Goff's new contract that he got, the quarterback is, once again, Goff is already having another doubter adding more fuel to the fire to give Jared Goff yet again more ammunition as he gets ready for this upcoming season. Which analyst am I talking about? Who am I talking about decided to open their trap and decide to be stupid? That would be ESPN analyst Mike Clay. Now, who is Mike Clay? I'll be honest with you. Up until I read the article, I didn't know who the hell Mike Clay was. It's not like he's, some guy that has a lot of followers. He's not a guy that makes a huge, name for himself like Ian Rappaport, Adam Schefter, none of those guys. So I was like, who the hell is this dude? Well, primarily, this is a guy that works from a fantasy standpoint from the NFL. Okay, first and foremost, that right there ought to be warning red flag number 1. So this is a guy that deals in fantasy stuff primarily. This is not a guy that deals primarily with the actual football aspect. I understand people take a look at fantasy and they try to make something out of that. I personally don't buy into that nearly as much. I look at fantasy football as a fun pastime where it's like, hey, I get to use guys as if I'm the coach and we go and have fun with it. But that's what this guy primarily works from. Well, what did this guy have to say about Jared Goff? According to Mike Clay, he has Jared Goff ranked as the 22nd quarterback going into the 2024 season. And this is primarily where I'm going to start this whole thing. First and foremost, let's just get this out of the way by just saying this. Jared Goff at 22. At 22. I just have to ask this guy this question, whether he watches this episode or not, hears about it or not, I don't give a damn. But have you lost your damn mind? How in the literal hell can you make a rational argument or justification? How in the hell can anyone make a rational argument or justification for Jared Goff being ranked that low? I'm sorry. How? Like, seriously, how can you make that justification? How? Because for me, let's think about this. There are 32 starting quarterbacks in the NFL at any given time. 22 is less than halfway between that 32 mark because 16 is halfway to 32. So what this dude is trying to say is that Jared Goff's not even going to be an average quarterback in 2024. He is going to be a below average, actually a bottom 10 quarterback. Think about that. A bottom 10 quarterback. That's what this dude is trying to say. Okay, let's do what I do best here. First and foremost, let's again go down the statistical laundry list, as I would like to call it, of understanding just how damn prolific Goff has been since arriving in Detroit. Let's just go back down that memory lane, shall we? First and foremost, let's take a look at how Jared Goff has done since getting here in 2021 to 2023. You take a look at the stats up on the screen. Jared Goff has completed 66.5% of his passes. He's thrown for 12,258 yards. That's fourth best in that time frame, by the way. He's thrown 78 touchdowns. That's seventh best in that time frame. 27 interceptions with a 96.5 passer rating, which is 11th best in that time frame. So just within the last 3 years, Jared Goff has a top 5 ranking in terms of passing yards, a top 10 ranking in terms of passing touchdowns, and he's just barely outside of top 10 in terms of his passer rating. That's just within the last 3 years. But then if you take a look at 2022, Jared Goff threw for 382 completions, 587 attempts, 65.1 completion percentage rate, 4,438 yards, 6th best in the NFL that year. 29 touchdowns, tied for 5th best in the NFL that year. 7 interceptions with a 99.3 passer rating, 5th best in the NFL that year, with a 63.3 QBR rating, 7th best in the NFL that year. So if you take a look at 2022, Jared Goff was literally a fringe top 5 quarterback. Fringe top 5. He had two statistical categories that were top 5, one that was just outside of top 5, and another one that was ranked number 7. That's fringe top 5 quarterback play in 2022. And then we go to 2023. What does Jared Goff do? He follows it up with yet again another statistically great good year. He has 408 completions, 605 attempts, a 67.3 completion percentage rate, 7th best in the NFL that year, 4,575 yards, 2nd best in the NFL, 30 touchdowns, 4th best, 12 interceptions, 97.9 passer rating, 9th best, and a 60.3 QBR, 11th best. Again, another top 10 season. So think about it. 2022, he's a top 5 fringe quarterback. 2023, he's a definite top 10 quarterback. So as I've clearly shown, not only over the total of the last 3 years combined, but also in 2022 and 2023, Jared Goff has easily performed at a top 10, sometimes top 5 level. And again, this is all while having to work with rookies that he's either developing as weapons or other players on the offense that have been developing as well. Case in point, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamison Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs, Penei Sewell, Sam Laporta. All 5 of those guys are huge, instrumental, massive parts of the offense. And Jared Goff has had to build them up or has had to wait in sometimes of a case till they got to that point where they are right now. Because none of these guys instantaneously came in and were absolutely perfect or where they are right now. It took them some time, whether it was a couple of games, whether it was a full year, whatever the case might be. It took them time. Jared Goff had to work with them. They had to develop. As a quarterback, that is something that you have to take in consideration when you're talking about these stats. Jared Goff has developed or has been with guys that have been developed for quite a bit over the last couple of years, and he has still performed at a top 10 near top 5 level. So think about that. Then you go to the fact that on top of developing those players that I just mentioned, or being around those players that were being developed, Jared Goff also was developing, implementing, and then running a hybrid offensive scheme between him and Ben Johnson. Because the scheme that the Lions have is a mixture of what Jared Goff likes to run from his time back in LA, but also what Ben Johnson's offensive plan, his game scheme is. You know, that whole concept. So that's why I call it a hybrid. But here's the thing. When that whole system was put into place, Ben Johnson was a rookie offensive coordinator. Ben Johnson had never been an offensive coordinator before 2022. So not only was Jared Goff dealing with all the developmental pieces that he had right there in 2021 and at the start of 2022, he was also working with a first-time offensive coordinator in Ben Johnson. And yet still, top 10, top 5 seasons over the last 2 years. That right there in of itself, to me, is absolutely mind-blowing that this dude thinks that Jared Goff is the 22nd best quarterback in 2024. Fantasy or not. But perhaps the biggest disrespect from Mike Clay in regards to Jared Goff is how absolutely pathetic he believes that Jared Goff will play in 2024. A 22 ranking is bad enough as it is. But according to Clay, he predicts that Jared Goff is only going to throw 3,754 yards and 23 touchdown passes. Now that's bad enough. But what makes this even worse is that in the previous year, Jared Goff, according to him, was the 17th ranked quarterback, and he had him throwing for 3,948 yards and 24 touchdowns. Wait a minute here. Back up. So Jared Goff last year was ranked higher. He performed even better than he did the year prior to that. But yet somehow this upcoming year you have him playing worse. How in the literal hell does that make any sense? Because think about this, folks. The 2022 season that he had, according to Clay, he said that he was going to be the 17th best quarterback going into 2023, right? Okay. So in 2023, as I already put the stats up on the screen, Jared Goff threw 4,575 yards. Clay said he was only going to throw 3,948. So Jared Goff easily cleared that by 627 yards. And on top of that, he threw 6 extra touchdowns in comparison to what Clay had him down for. So Jared Goff easily cleared that, no problem. So what's Jared Goff's reward from Mike Clay? His reward is that he's going to be ranked even lower and he's going to throw even less, even though he cleared his expectations easily the year prior to that. So again, how the hell does that make any sense? It makes no sense whatsoever. How the hell can you perform so well the previous year, but yet your ranking goes down even lower according to this dude? It literally makes no sense. There's absolutely no rationale, there's no justification that I can think of that makes any sense for this. That's why it's just like, I'm flabbergasted. It's just stupid. It's asinine. But again, I'm going to continue to go with this for a little bit. Because further what I don't understand is, again, Mike Clay works with ESPN, but he's primarily a fantasy guy. Well, here's the thing that I don't understand about all this. If Clay's a fantasy guy, obviously he knows fantasy numbers, right? Well, go back to 2022. In 2022, Jared Goff was the 8th best fantasy player. Not the 8th best fantasy quarterback. Fantasy player out of everyone in the NFL. He scored 340.8 points in 2022. And then in 2023, what did Goff do? He followed it up being the 8th best player again with 303.1 fantasy points. So wait a minute here. In 2022, he's the 8th best fantasy player. 2023, he's the 8th best fantasy player. But according to Mike Clay, who is a fantasy guy, he has Jared Goff being the 22nd best quarterback, according to him, for 2024. So how Mike Clay makes this whole thought process work is beyond me. There's literally no damn justification. I can't think of a single way that you can justify how a top 10 quarterback, both in terms of actual statistics, but in terms of fantasy points, is somehow going to be the 22nd best quarterback in 2024. That to me just is absolutely asinine. It's stupid, ludicrous. There's so many different words you could use that this just doesn't make any sense. And finally, just to add further insult to injury to Mike Clay's absolute stupidity here, let's consider why, again, I believe that Jared Goff is going to continue to dominate in 2024. First and foremost here, every Lions fan knows that Jared Goff is an absolute machine when he's playing at home. And again, Jared Goff at home, you don't want to play him because he dominates at a level that is unprecedented. Think about this. The Lions have 9 home games this year. 9. That means more than half of their games are played at home, right? At home, Jared Goff last year in 2023 had 195 completions to 278 attempts, had a 70.1 completion percentage rate for 2,240 yards, 19 touchdowns to 6 interceptions with a 107.9 passer rating. That is damn good. Those are awesome freaking numbers right there. So, Jared Goff is going to be playing the majority of his games at home in Detroit, and last year Jared Goff was an absolute machine at home. But wait a minute, it gets even better. In 2024, the Lions are going to be at 14 games where they're playing inside a dome. Well, here's the thing. Again, we know that Jared Goff plays typically better inside a dome rather than outside a dome. Well, okay, 14 games out of 17. That means that pretty much 85% of the Lions games are going to be in a dome where Jared Goff performs his best. Well, think about this. Like I said with playing at home, this is how Jared Goff performs at domes, whether it's at Ford Field or not. Think about this. 260 completions, 377 attempts for a 69% completion percentage rate. 2,981 yards, 23 touchdowns to 8 interceptions with a 104 passer rating. So whether at home or at somebody else's place on the road in a dome, Jared Goff absolutely dominates in domes, and he dominates at home. So think about it here. 14 out of the Lions' 17 games are in domes. 9 out of the Lions' 17 games are at home. But yet Mike Clay, who is a fantasy guy who should be taking all this into consideration, is saying Jared Goff is going to be the 22nd best quarterback in 2024. I'm sorry. I'm not an expert by any sense of the imagination. I don't get paid by a massive company like ESPN for this crap. I'm just a guy that has a YouTube channel, and I'm thankful for it. But my God, how in the hell does this guy have a job and he doesn't know this crap? How in the hell is this guy making this kind of a prediction, making this kind of a statement, and just absolutely is not doing his job? I can't understand this. This is why it bugs me so much when there are people out there that get paid not just hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars to do this crap. And it's like, dude, I am sitting here and I cannot for the life of me understand where this is coming from. It doesn't make sense from a simple standpoint, much less from a complex standpoint. There is absolutely, simply put, no logical justification for where this is coming from, which is why, for me, I'm absolutely hot under the collar. But I also look at this as, yet again, another use for Jared Goff to once again be like, oh, somebody else doubts me, somebody else thinks I can't perform well, somebody thinks I didn't deserve the contract I got, somebody thinks that I'm just going to fall apart. Okay, fine. I'll show you once again how stupid you are. I will show you once again how wrong you are by going out and playing my damn level best. And what would really stick it to somebody like this, or to everybody who doubts Jared Goff? We go to the damn Super Bowl. Jared Goff wins the Super Bowl. Can you imagine the backlash that a lot of people that have doubted Goff over the years would suddenly have to eat their crow if that were to happen? Oh, I would be loving it. I would be loving it for weeks, if not months. But that's way, way, way further down the road. We're talking about right now. But we've already talked about it. I've already presented the data. And like I said, I don't know how else to put this. I'm just absolutely flabbergasted. That's just the truth of the matter. But anyway, I figured I'd put this episode together because this is the stuff that I really like doing. Because when people want to be stupid, I always love to correct them, especially when this is just so blatantly, obviously stupid. But anyway, Having said that, I'm going to end the segment and say thank y'all for watching another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. If you like what you saw, by all means, I highly encourage y'all to watch the next episode. Also encourage y'all to do one of these three things: like, comment, and subscribe. If by chance you subscribed in the past and forgot to do so, or you just subscribed and not had a chance to do so, again, highly encourage y'all to subscribe. It really helps the channel out, and I'm ever so thankful for each one that I can get. But I also encourage y'all, please, after you subscribe, please make sure you also hit that bell notification icon button that's right next to it, so that way you guys never miss any more content that I push out. Again, subscription numbers are always going up, but we want you guys to come back as soon as I push out something new, so that way you guys never miss any content. Also encourage y'all to share the content with your Lions friends and family members. Share it here on YouTube, share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook, share it anywhere and everywhere you can with everybody and anybody that you can. The more we share it, the greater the channel grows and spreads. And with that being said, to everybody, I hope y'all are having a blessed day. I hope y'all are doing well. Hope y'all got something in your life that makes you happy and makes you smile. Hope y'all enjoyed the content. And with that being said, God bless, and until the next time we meet, I'll see you all in the very next episode.